Well, here we are, not in a fun brewery, not in an awesome tap room. We're in the place where, if I'm being honest, I drink most of my craft beer. It's here in my garage. The quarantine is still very much going on, and people are stuck in their homes. You know who's not complaining too much about being stuck in their homes? Home brewers. John from Mugs, the president, right? The president of Mugs? The Grand Poobah, Admiral. What are the stripes that you wear there for the Mugs?
Oh, secretary, vice president, president, varies by year. Always fun.
Do you guys just spin a wheel and then that's how you find out what you're in charge of, or how does that work?
It's pretty much who doesn't look away, who doesn't run away fast enough.
I know that a big part of what makes Mugs work for you guys and why you love it so much is the camaraderie you have and the fact that you're able to get together and have your meetings. Can you kind of describe the meetings that you have in the old world before all of this new normal stuff happened? How often you would meet and what a typical Mugs meeting might be like?
So our typical meeting pre-pandemic could be last Sunday of the month, rotating among different breweries in the area, places like Wake, Crawford, Five Cities, Radical, Front Street, Bear River, all the places in town that you love to go. We try to mix it up between hearing from brewers in the Quad Cities, so learning from them, educationals where you might learn about a style of beer, and really just sharing beer with everybody and getting different notes from folks on how you can make things better.
I know a lot of professional brewers that say home brewers are both the best and worst audience because they obviously know a lot more than your typical consumer, and sometimes that's great, sometimes it's not great. But when you're giving your beer, something that you've worked hard on, to your fellow home brewers, I mean, what's that like? Because you know they know what they're talking about when they express an opinion. Are they kind? Are they harsh? How does that work?
A little of all that. So it depends on, among people that brew, you've got people that know a lot about the beer styles, know a lot about how to taste it. You also have people that think they do.
Right.
And you also have people that just like beer in general. So you get a wide amount of feedback from folks depending on that. Best feedback, a lot of times we get the local brewers even come into the meetings. So you can get some really good feedback from the brewers from the local breweries.
Let's go back a decade when you started this. Walk me through the genesis of the journey here. 10 years ago, how did you get started in home brewing?
So I got started, really was into craft beer. I was teaching a class and I was using beer as examples and pizza as examples. And a student brought me a bunch of beer books the next day and said, "Have you ever read about making your own beer?" And I hadn't, but it sounded interesting. So I went through those books like you couldn't believe and got really obsessed. And my wife saw that. So that Christmas, she bought me everything to get started, a burner, pot to brew in, the different, pieces of equipment you might need just to get started. And it kind of became an obsession that steamrolled into expanding from extract brewing into all grain, into what you see behind me or we see on the video of brewing of, we just built a new house recently and I built a brewery in the basement.
You built a house there and you said, I have to have my brewing space, because this is the thing. I think people might assume, if somebody's watching the show right now, they've got the volume down, they might assume that we're talking to somebody who's at a commercial brewery. What is that behind you? That's fantastic.
So when we, about a year before we built the house, we bought the system that's installed in there. It's an all-electric brewing system. It's got a panel that controls temperature by computer logic. So you can set a temperature and it'll modulate the heating element and keep it right where it needs to be. You got pumps on switch controls. You got a commercial hood for exhaust in there, so all the boil off from the beer goes directly into the backyard where all the neighbors and dogs can smell the beautiful smell of freedom. Got speakers in there so you can rock out when you're brewing, and it's just really my happy place.
So, do you miss the old systems that you used to have? Because that looks super efficient, and I bet the beer is delicious, but do you lack some of the romance of making a mess in your garage or any of that stuff?
So there's a certain romance of brewing outside in the sun in the fall or maybe a good spring day.
Right.
That's a great feeling being outside. And I technically still have all the stuff in the basement, so I could go out and do that. But it's also just really awesome to be able to brew, watch my kids through the windows, so the kids can be playing in the other part of the basement, and I can watch them while I'm brewing and jam out, and that's its own kind of fun.
So with mugs now, you're not able to get together, and you're also not able to. I mean, you make how much beer? If you were to make a beer, what kind of volume are you cranking out with that thing?
So it depends. Usually between a 6 and 12 gallon batch. So we use the old corny kegs that they used to have the soda in, so like the 5 gallon kegs. Right. So I've got about 6-7 different beers to choose from right now, and being that we don't have all the friends coming over like we normally would, right, it makes it a more of a challenge to go through.
I mean, I imagine, John, when you're making your beer, you're thinking about your friends and sharing it with your friends and how much they're going to like it, and you don't get to do that right now. So what's that like for you?
That's not fun.
Yeah.
I think one of the things I like to do the most is create the beer and share the beer. That's the fun.
Right. Well, one of these days, hopefully sooner than later, we'll all be able to get together and drink beer and be in the same place when we do it. And all of you guys at Mugs, all of you home brewers are doing really great stuff. I mean, if you got to be stuck at home, that looks like a pretty sweet home to be stuck in. So I'm glad you're doing what you love. And again, I mean this from the heart. If there's anything I can do to help you with the excess beer that you have, I want you to know, John, I'm here for you.
We're here for you.
All right. Well, we're going to get through this, buddy. I appreciate your time. Keep up the good work, and cheers.
Cheers.
Suddenly mixing my home hobby and my work career, and now I was making homebrew videos and getting paid for it. It was absolutely bonkers.